The European Union on Wednesday announced that Nigeria and other African countries would be receiving the sum of €557 million from the bloc's 2026 humanitarian aid budget. The EU made this known in a statement by its delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS embassy's press officer, Mr. Modestus Chukwulaka, in Abuja. It said that Nigeria's northwest region is in focus as it announced a grant of €557 million in humanitarian aid to African countries for the 2026 budget. The EU's announcement came at a time when 239 million people need assistance, and major donors are cutting funding. It said that the amount excluded a separate €14.6 million allocated to North Africa. The EU said that it was part of the initial €1.9 billion humanitarian aid budget announced by Hadja Lahbib, the European Commissioner for Equality, Preparedness and Crisis Management for this year. According to the statement, Lahbib brings this commitment to Davos, seeking to mobilize private sector finance and innovative solutions that can complement public funding and reach people in need. It said that the EU's humanitarian aid delivered life-saving assistance where it matters most: emergency food and shelter, critical health care, protection for the most vulnerable, and support for children's education in crisis zones. Furthermore, it said that as other donors retreat and humanitarian law faces unprecedented strain, the EU maintains its commitment: principled aid that reaches people in need, wherever they are. The initial €1.9 billion allocation includes €557 million to West and Central Africa, the Sahel, the Lake Chad Basin, Northwest Nigeria, Central Africa, Southern Africa, the Great Lakes region and the Greater Horn of Africa. It also includes €448 million to the Middle East, particularly Gaza, further to last year's fragile ceasefire, as well as Iraq, Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon. €145 million is allocated to humanitarian needs in Ukraine, as Russia's invasion enters its fourth year, and an additional €8 million for humanitarian projects in Moldova, it said. It said that €126 million is allocated to address humanitarian needs in Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran. €95 million was allocated to Central and South America and the Caribbean, a region facing complex humanitarian crises driven by armed conflicts, widespread violence, political instability, acute inequalities and environmental challenges. Also, €73 million will be allocated to support Southeast Asia and the Pacific, in particular for the Myanmar crisis and its impact in Bangladesh. Then, €14.6 million will be allocated to North Africa, a region that remains exposed to complex political, economic and social challenges. Additionally, more than €415 million is reserved for responding to sudden-onset emergencies worldwide, and maintaining a strategic supply chain, it said. The statement said that the EU Commissioner mobilized private sector support in Davos to close the gap between record humanitarian needs and available resources, which requires new approaches. It said that Lahbib's other engagements in Davos were to discuss with business leaders and investors on how the private sector can bring innovation, scale, and new financing models to humanitarian responses. It said that together with the World Economic Forum, she will co-host an event on New Alliances in Aid and Development on the 22nd of January. Lahbib's full Davos agenda, including bilateral meetings amongst others engagements in Davos, it said. The news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that the EU and its member states are the leading global humanitarian aid donors. The Commission has been providing humanitarian aid since 1992 in over 110 countries, delivered through humanitarian NGOs, international organizations, including UN agencies, and specialized agencies in the member states. NAN